everybody, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia. Hi.
Sam Healy, what's up, folks?
Hey, it's another week and it's another top 10 list, and today we're redoing one of our older ones.
Classic.
Top 10. What?
A classic.
Well, this isn't the. Oh, you mean the old one's a classic?
Yes. I don't know. Does old equal classic? We should tell them what it is. Never mind.
It's right behind us.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, they already know.
It was also in the intro.
Yeah.
Ah, I should know that.
And in
I
the
put it
description
there.
of the video.
I did that too.
So worker placement games. Now this is interesting for me because after I made my list, I went back and looked at the one I did last time, and I think I have 3 that are the same, maybe
That's
4,
it?
because that many good ones have come out.
I took a different approach. I actually started with the list that I made by myself. I actually started with that and wrote those down, and then went and looked for more.
See, I did.
Well, sure. I'm saying that I went back and looked at the list that we all did together so many years ago.
Yeah, I didn't even look at that one. I just did the one that
I'm curious how many we have that are the same.
I went to my top 100. I did some pushing and chipping away at it. Then eventually was like, oh, let me go look at my top 100 and see what's on there. And I don't like that many worker placement games. There's 3, I think, in my top 100.
You're dead to me.
4, something like that. I think it's not that I don't like the mechanisms of worker placement. I just think worker placement games I find repetitive. I don't mean repetitive. They cannibalize one another a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I mean. So new ones have a harder time standing out for me.
I get that, but it is easily one of my favorite mechanisms.
Oh, I enjoy it. I mean, I like these games, but there's a lot of other games I could say, oh, that's like this one, so I'll just pick this one. Oh, that one's like this other game, so I'll just stick with the one I like better, you know.
Oh, sure. We cut out dice placement games because I think that's a whole category on its own at this point. So we'll do a top
Be
10
wearing
on that.
those T-shirts right now. Tom is wrong.
Well, I got one for you.
I know. I got it on my desk. I should have put it on.
Wear it on your head.
I know, right?
And also for me, I didn't put, specifically I didn't put Le Havre on the list because Le Havre you have a worker and put it on a building. And while that's part of the game, I picked one where there's more workers. I picked games where the focus was on worker placement, which is most of the games.
Right, and I kind of struggled back and forth about what about worker placement makes it go on this list. And one game I ended up cutting was Robinson Crusoe because
I was just going to say that.
Worker placement to me entails that turn angst of don't take the spot I want to go to. Hopefully, right? That's part of it. And in that game, it's more like action selection. You can all do it together. You want to go somewhere, you can always go there. Worker placement, part of it
Unless
is
you're playing with a jerk.
I guess. But it's a cooperative game. Just don't play with that guy. So that one I did not put in there. But it would have been in there, just ranking wise.
Huh. I know some games on your list for sure. Yours is more tricky. I don't think you and I
don't know if you.
We might have a couple crossover. No, I think we'll have some crossover, you and me. At least I know a couple I think will be in your list. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's find out.
Number 10.
My number 10 came out since we did the list the last time. And this is a game that I really wish had more love in America. And that's Automania. Automania is a worker placement game. I like it for a couple reasons. One, where you place your workers gives you a tile, but it also, then you can pick an action that's in one of those, in the row or column that you can take, which I like. I'm sorry, no, you get the action, then you pick a tile in that row.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm saying
whatever's left.
So it does 2 things, and then you don't really block other people because they can always put more workers there, but then they have to spend more workers. And there's a lot of worker placement games that do that where you can go to the same spot someone else and you just got to put more workers. You have a whole slew of them.
Which is fine. I'm okay with that. I consider that turn angst or, action denial as well. If you have to put a worker but pay money or more workers, same thing.
True, but what I'm saying is turn 1, if you go to one of these spots in Automania, I'm like, oh, I can't do that. No, I can still do it.
You can still do it, but it's going to cost you more.
It's going to cost me a little bit more now taking the tile I want.
That you cannot take back. Yeah.
Automania, though, fantastic game. It's simple, it's easy, and I really don't think it's enough love. It's just one that's going to stay in my collection for a while.
I agree.
Cool. All right, my number 10 is a game that I think has to be on any top 10 worker placement game list.
Oh, no.
And I'm pretty sure both of these guys will have this on their list. It's called Pillars of the Earth. It is the, what would you say? Is it quintessential? Is that the correct name?
The quintessential worker placement game? I think that's Kalis, but sure.
Said it with I say you did say it with a straight face. Man.
He's trolling.
I think that's probably Kalis to a lot of people. I don't like Kalis.
To a lot of people.
You think Kalis is looked at as a worker placement game?
Yes. It's definitely on.
I thought so. I haven't played Kalis in ages, but I thought Kalis was like the...
It's definitely in the database as a worker placement.
Well, there was a lot of games in the database where I was like,
this is true.
no,
This is
not
true.
a worker placement.
This is probably Pillars of the Earth. That is probably the game that I'm pretty sure it's the game that introduced worker placement to me, which is why maybe I call it the quintessential, because that's the one that started the genre off for me. It has slidden just because of lack of play, really over the years, but it's got to be there for me. It's got to be there. So I like everything about it. I think that the theme is cool. One of the things that I love about the game that he hates is the fact that you're building the cathedral during the course of the game.
I still don't understand
I don't hate it. I mean, it's just like...
You just don't like it.
It doesn't inspire enough to give me hate,
But I really enjoyed it. It gives a thematic tie-in, I guess you could say, to what you're doing in the game. So I really enjoy Pillars of the Earth, and I could not include it on the list. So that's my number 10, Pillars of the Earth.
Unfortunately, I have not included it.
Wow.
It's in my top 20 still, but it just fell off.
Yeah.
And for no bad reason, really, then just I like these other 10 games
there's
better.
too many good worker placement games for you. That makes sense. All right, my number 10 is a game called Mangrovia. And this
Wow. Okay,
is
that's a cool
my
pick.
farthest out of the stuff I usually kind of pick. It's a very abstracty sort of game with rows and columns of spots. You love that
rows
stuff.
and columns.
But then the worker placement itself has a nice mechanism in which you can pick something better much later in the turn order, or just a tiny little action, place a single thing or grab a single thing, but you go pretty early on in the structure of a round. And so once you put out your it's like a little plate or something you put out, then you go through them all, doing whatever you're doing. And you're, again, controlling lanes and scoring opportunities and things like that. The game did not look like something I would appreciate whatsoever.
It looks pretty.
Upon first blush, yeah, but it also looks like a dry Euro. It doesn't look like there's going to be a lot of fun.
Just so you know, it is a dry Euro.
That's true, I guess. Yeah,
Even though I think there's a lot of water on the board.
yeah. But I was.
So it's a juicy Euro.
It's a juicy.
New terminology. We're starting now. Juicy Euros.
Oh no, I refuse. I like it though. I like it. I think it's a good game. I think it's one that a quick glance at the board belies what is hidden beneath in the actions and mechanisms. So, that is my number 10, Mangrovia.
Yeah, I had several people come up to me at Dice Tower Con and tell me they had found this newish game and they liked it. I was like, oh yeah. I wonder if that one might, I don't know, be like a cult favorite at some point.
Really? So they mentioned this game specifically?
Yeah. And I was like, oh yeah. And I like playing that one. It's been a while, but I liked it.
It's good stuff.
Number 9.
All right, my number 9 is probably a game that you people out there and probably used to here would probably never expect to find on any of my top 10 lists because of the theme. The theme is the fashion industry. And I've only played this game once, and I was that struck with it when I was introduced to it because I enjoyed it that much, and I was not expecting to like it at all. It's called Pret-a-Porter, and it is.
Oh wow, it's that one.
Yeah, it's that one. It is actually probably one of the heaviest games that I enjoy playing.
Yeah,
and it's pretty thick, and it is pretty. That's why it's higher on my list, because it is kind of a brain burner for me. But I really enjoyed the intricacy of of how the theme worked well with the mechanism. And that's one of the things that I've always liked about games, how integrated is the theme to the game. And this is one of those that really just jives. The mechanisms and the theme just completely are congruent. So I liked it a lot. It's probably not going to show up on many top 10 lists.
I think that game's got a lot of love. It's just kind of been out of print.
Well, he's actually planning to reprint it
as a computer,
a video
game maker theme.
I never
to
played
it.
the original.
So
of course, he did announce he was reprinting it like 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
He's actually turning it into a video game. That's what people don't realize. He's learning how to code.
No, he's not doing.
He's been doing that for years.
He's not doing that. Anyway, that's my number 9, Pred-Borte.
All right, cool. Wow, I would not have picked that for your list at all.
Yeah.
My number 9 is a game called Asking for Troubles. And this is a particularly orange game in which you are going to be... it's one of those in which you send out one of your workers. It's a little flying saucer or, alien spaceship or what have you. Or you recall them. And I like that mechanism a lot in worker placement games. That was one of the things that at some point down the line got introduced to worker placement games that was a good injection of something new. Because like I said at the beginning, I find worker placement games a little samey. A lot of them do the same kinds of things. The idea of getting bumped off a spot because someone wants to go there, so they give you your ship back early, fantastic. I don't have to skip a turn just recalling. Or taking them all back and I can start going places again. This game does that. The rest of it, what you're doing, is pretty straightforward set collection stuff. Right, grab some of these, grab these space carrots, grab some crystals, whatever, and then, smack the beasties in the game and score victory points. That's all fine. But the mechanical implications of it all are pretty fun. And the game is light, silly, it's very bright, and it's one that's easy to sort of get into and play. I enjoy it a lot. It also has that deck of characters with weird powers and stuff like space pirates, and it's just sort of silly. So that's my number 9, Asking for Troubles. I really enjoy this one. There you go.
That is a great game.
Oh,
my
boy,
number
here we
9.
go. He's about to say Asking for Troubles. So.
No. Asking for Troubles did not make my list again. There's so many great games out there.
I can't wait to hear what did make the list.
My number 9 is a game that I thought I would not. I thought I would love when I first saw all the robots in it. Then I found out that the robots were just there as placeholders. So I was like, well. Mm-hmm. And then I played it and I fell in love with it. I liked it a lot. Anachrony. For worker placement, there's one thing I like about worker placement more than anything else is, and I wish more games did it, is differentiated workers. And Anachrony has that in spades. Put this worker here, this place can only take this type of worker. If you put this worker here, you get it back right away rather than having to, there's just various things I like about the game a lot. The mech suits don't hurt, they look cool. But if you had those maybe 2 favorite things, one would be the worker placement, I think, is great, and then the other is the time travel aspect of the game, which is really done well. You will go to the future and borrow some resources, but later on in the future, when you get there, you have to pay them back.
Yeah.
Because you took them from yourself.
Because you took them from yourself. So you are essentially, I need that resource now, but I need that resource to make me some stuff so that it was worthwhile taking it back.
Yeah.
It's a good way to learn how not to get into debt. So if you think about it, debt is just actually a time travel thing.
No.
You visited yourself in the future, took some money out of your pocket, plus some more. But on the trip back, some extra money disappeared.
Got it. That sounds like they're not going to be teaching classes on this at college. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
Number 8.
All right, my number 8 is a game that I refuse to play with more than 2, maybe 3 players.
Well, that narrows it down to nothing.
This is Lewis and Clark. Lewis and Clark I enjoy a lot. I think it's very engaging, very thematic. It's basically half the game is worker placement, the other half is sort of card actions and fueling cards from your hand with other cards from your hand. It does really very much feel like 2 games sort of stitched together. But that combination works. And I like that it's also, on top of that, a racing game. And it's just
the slowest racing game.
It is probably,
Earth.
But it's got a lot of things kind of going on that you would look at all the pieces together or separately rather and think, okay, is this really going to affect this? Do I just focus on one thing, what's going on? But you end up doing it all, and I think it all works together well. Artwork, of course, does not hurt that game. It's a fantastic looking game.
That I agree on.
And I like the idea of building up what you can do. You know, a big part of it, like I said, is collecting these cards and the powers they let you do, the abilities, the manipulation, how they affect the things you can do very quickly make you different from the other players at the table. And I also like that in games. Throw worker placement in there, I'm very happy with that game. But it is very long because it's one of those this much time per players kind of game. And more than 2 is going to be 90 minutes or so, then 4, that's a couple of hours. It's a long game. So stick with 2, but definitely enjoy it. Lewis and Clark is my number 8.
Well, that looked like an okay sign. What I meant was 0 is the better player count. But
You don't like it?
I do not. It's too slow for me.
Yeah, it's way too slow. And the fact, the time length, isn't what makes it feel long to me. It's how slow the game is. Oh, I wouldn't even call it a racing game.
Yeah, and I think the racing game thing to me doesn't.
I mean, I know it is, but
I mean, it's a travel game maybe then.
But I mean, I'm trying to beat you, and you're 2 spots ahead, and like 1 spot.
Oh, that's true.
That's just not exciting to me, I guess. And then the dice game just blew it out of the water for me.
Discoveries, yeah.
No, I like the original more.
Did you trade do the artwork for Lewis and Clark too?
Yeah. Yeah. He did
Oh no,
both.
I won't argue that. The Blues card looks amazing. All right, my number 8 is only the final product. It would not have made my top 10 otherwise, and that is Charterstone. Charterstone was a very fun worker placement game as we played through the campaign of it. But when I took the upgrade kit and built Charterstone the way I felt like building it, that's my own little custom Charterstone, and played with everything that we did over the thing, it's really good. I really like the idea of Charterstone putting out somebody and then taking someone back. Putting out someone or taking all your workers back. This is not the only game that exists in it. Also exists in Manhattan Project and some other games like that. That's a concept I like a lot also. And there's a lot of other things I like about the final version of Charterstone, which you can't say because it's spoilers if you haven't played the campaign.
Right.
But suffice it to say, other things that I may say about future games or have already said apply to this too. And they're great.
That was very
Wow.
specific.
That was spoiler free. Almost information free as well.
But that's the thing though. Charterstone really jumped up for me. Over the campaign itself, I thought Charterstone was a 7. It is like an 8.5 when the final product. To the point where I kept it in my collection. I really like it.
Right.
And I can bring it out and play with people who've never played through the campaign, and they can understand it just fine.
Okay. Could see that.
My number 8 is, I think the theme is what pretty much puts this on the list more than anything else. Because as a worker placement game, it's kind of, I wouldn't say ho-hum, it's just that it's as good as any of the other games that are on here. So where it fell in my list, didn't really think. But the underwater scavenging theme of this game is what really kind of brought it to the forefront for me, and that's Otis or Otis or however you pronounce that.
Otis is like the guy who lives in the corner.
Yeah,
hey,
sure.
Otis. He's the guy who's always sitting on the porch rocking in his chair.
Otis.
I think.
Otis, yeah, whatever. Otys is how you spell it. And I really enjoyed this. The worker placement aspect of it is you have your diver, and he's going to be diving to different depths, and you can pick up whichever level you want to stop at, but then he only has a certain amount of air that he has to work with, so at some point you have to resurface, or you have to have some things like upgrades and that type of thing that will give you more air so you can stay down deeper and collect more resources and stuff like that. So I really enjoy this game a lot. It has a great theme, pretty good production quality as well. Artwork is great, so I really enjoyed it a lot. That's my number 8. Otis.
I think you make it sound a lot more thematic than it is, but it is a good game.
No, I think it's, like I said, the theme is what
Really, you like the theme? I like the theme. I just don't think it's really there.
We need another shirt. Z is wrong.
Oh, I'll buy one.
Number 7.
My number 7 has already been mentioned on this list.
What? Crossover already?
Crossover already.
Is it with Sam Healy?
It's with Tom Vassell. You heard of that cat?
Oh.
Wait.
The
Well, it can't be
fanciest-
Anachrony. Oh, it has to be Automania.
It is not. It is Charterstone.
Really?
My number 7 is Charterstone, yeah.
But you haven't played the final thing. You just played through the campaign.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I haven't played your version of it either, like whatever you did where you just basically opened up an upgrade pack and jumped through all the games just by stickering everything, right?
Right, right.
Now, I haven't played that, but the campaign, the whatever you want to call it, the progression of the legacy aspect of the game, I really enjoyed. And I thought that, yes, on the one hand, it's sort of like taking a game and teaching it to you really, really slowly over lots of games. Kind of, fine. But it's also fun to do that, because I do like the idea of starting with a very simplistic worker placement game and slowly adding things on from a whole play to another whole play. That's not bad, that's good. And while it's not as revolutionary or as distinct as some of the other legacy games, if you go into it and know what you're getting, that you're not getting this, whiz-bang kind of experience, it's a fun worker placement game. And I like the look, I like the actions, I like that it's an extremely quick game. And by that I mean turns. That game, taking a turn, is blink of an eye, as long as you know what you're doing, of course. But I really like that. I like that it goes around the table, right? You're done, you think about your next thing, boom, it's your go again. That's really enjoyable to me. So yeah, Charterstone, definitely. That is my number 7.
Woohoo! I was not expecting that.
My number 7 is
Charterstone.
a game by no, Charterstone is not on my list. I was bored by Charterstone throughout the entirety. I haven't played what you're talking about, which I might like, but the whole thing of starting with a very basic thing and then ramping up, and then there's not enough really cool things that happened during the course of the game that while it was ramping up.
Well, you weren't a fan. I remember you were not a fan of the turn of take my workers back.
Well,
Like that's all you do.
well, I know that, but I mean, there are other games on my list where you do that, so it didn't really bother me that much. It was just that, I don't know, I just wasn't taken with it as much. All right, my number 7 is a game from Renegade Game Studios, and just came out, I believe, last year, which is why it wasn't on a previous list of mine, and it is about making pies. Pie Town.
Oh, okay.
Pie Town is a very, I would almost call it, I don't know, not really micro, but it seems like it's from a micro standpoint where you have your little bakery and you only have like 1, 2, maybe 4 workers at most working inside your little bakery, going out to little pie competitions and stuff like that. It's not like something like Manhattan Project where you have these slew of workers that you're sending out all over the place. It's micro. That's the reason I call it that. But I enjoy the simplicity of it. I think the artwork is cool. It's not beautiful or picturesque or anything like that. It's kind of cartoony. And it fits the theme, I think, and I liked it a lot. The gameplay is also quick, fun, and very, very simple, and that's one of the reasons I liked it a lot. So I wasn't expecting to like it because it's a game about pies, and I'm not really the whole food thing. I'm not really in the whole food thing.
All right, now we have 2 things to talk
at
about.
all. But anyway, go ahead. All right, what?
No, first of all, I think it saddens me you say that about pies, but because pies are amazing.
Well,
yeah,
I mean, food-making themes just don't appeal.
All right, so, man, yeah, I don't like Pie Town. I thought I would. The main reason I didn't like Pie Town is because as a worker placement game, at first it was interesting, and it got more boring as the game went by, because there's fewer and fewer. I mean, there's more and more places to put people, and you have more and more workers, and there was like. Someone would go here and be like, I'll take all these resources. And then I'd say, well, okay, cool. I guess I'll just get $1 over here or something. I felt less fun as the game went by. I like worker placement games to ramp up, if anything. Have more spots show up on a game, have new, your workers get better or something.
I don't know. I like the fact that the board got tighter.
But it got tighter to the point where I had nothing to do with my workers.
No, you had to be more judicious about when you put your workers out.
Judicious.
I feel like he's saying, you stupid.
No, I'm just saying. No, I mean,
If anybody busts out the word judicious,
as the game
they're trying to
goes
call
on,
you
you have to be very pointed about
cognizant. In your face.
You have to be very pointed about what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. That's one of the cool things about the game, I thought.
I guess this one was not for me, unfortunately. Number 7 was a game that did not make my top 10, but with expansions and replays has really gone up there. Love this game now, and that is Raiders of the North Sea. This game is really just, man, am I loving it these days. I like the expansions a lot. I think both of them I'll play with always. But the idea of this game of put one worker down, take the action, take another worker, pull it off, take that action. That's a cool concept. I don't know that I've ever seen any other game do it, actually.
I know that fishing game I reviewed does that. Cold Water Crown.
Cold Water does that?
It's really, really boring. Yeah.
So you said. I've seen so many good reports on that I'm about to disregard your review and go play
You should
Cold
always
Water
disregard what I say. Just play it
Just
yourself.
to clarify, I do. But
Man, give me another big word, Sam. Give me another big word.
Give me a minute.
Okay. Get
So
back
anyhow,
to you. Big
no.
hat face.
but I like that. But I
Need
also like the
Sam's
whole.
help.
I like the whole rating aspect of it as you try to build up enough resources, and you have your boat full of different Vikings that do things. And I found it very enjoyable, especially with there are more options when you add the expansions in. There's beer you can give your Vikings, which make them real strong briefly. Stuff like
Right.
that. There's so much variety in it. Has a cool Viking theme that works for me. Raiders of the North Sea. To clarify, I want to point out that I'm talking very specifically about Raiders. Anything else that has to do with the North Sea, not a fan of. Shipbuilding and exploring, yeah. Raiders.
Number 6.
All right, my number 6 is a game that actually directly replaced its predecessor on my list that I just did by myself about a year ago, I guess now, maybe not even that long ago. But it just came out. It is Manhattan Project 2. Minutes to Midnight.
Really?
Yeah, I liked it. I liked Manhattan Project a lot already. Loved the theme of it.
Wait, you're saying it's better than the first?
I enjoy it more than the first because there's more player interaction with the whole the third world countries that are out there and how you are vying for control of those different third world countries. It's the interaction is the part of a Manhattan Project that it was missing. It had a little bit of it with the bombers and the fighters, but really you could go an entire game and not use that at all and still do very well. With Manhattan Project 2 Minutes to Midnight,
You can't do that.
you cannot do that. It really does kind of force, if you want to use that word, player interaction, and I like that it does that because it takes all the stuff that I really enjoyed from Manhattan Project and added player interaction to it. So that's why it is number 6 on my list, Manhattan Project 2 Minutes to Midnight.
It just missed my list.
Right.
By about
what?
300 games.
Yeah.
I will say Manhattan Project missed my list by 1 or 2.
Yeah. Same here. Manhattan Project was in my top 20. I really
Well,
considered
I
it.
really couldn't justify putting both of them on there because they are very
Should have picked the better one then.
similar. I did.
My number 6. Okay, let's go back to classic games now. This one was on the list last
I
time
thought you were
for
gonna say
sure.
let's go back to class. I don't know
Well,
why. It sounded like you were about to do that.
All right, guys. So,
Let's go back to school.
but Age of Empires, the board game, or Empires: Age of Discovery is what it was called the last time. It
I
was
think you
printed.
mean Glendover's
Age of-
Age of Empires 3, The Age of Discovery.
Age of Empires 3, The Age of Discovery.
No. It's Glenn Drover's Age of Empires 3, The Age of Discovery.
Glenn's discovery of the Age of Drover Empires 4.
Anyhow, whatever the name is, this game still. They tried to they reprinted it, Eagle Griffin, a few years ago, and they kind of Kickstarter mangled it a bit with extra pieces or
Was it
parts of the
2
game.
boards or something,
Right, you
but
couldn't even
extra
play
stuff?
part of the game because you didn't get everything.
That's
if you
right.
Didn't.
That's right.
And then they did the space version of it, which I did not like at all. But the original game is fantastic.
What was the space version called?
Piece of garbage in space.
Glenn Drover's Space of Empires 4, The Space of Discovery.
The second to final frontier.
So anyhow,
I don't
throwing me
know
off here.
what
The
it's
thing
called,
I
sorry.
like about this one again is that you have these workers that you're placing that again they do different things.
Yeah.
Missionaries and explorers and captains and where you put them will also change things. And then some of them turn into then area control. And
right.
it has a really strong theme. It has a lot of different options and choices to win. There was maybe a slight dominant strategy with getting the ships that they nerfed slightly by adding and changing some things with the expansion, which is now included. But I like it a lot. It's just, the first time I played it, it was just like, wow, this is really cool. And I think it's one of the games that made worker placement more widely popular.
I agree.
So
That was one of the
Age
early ones.
Empires 3. Well, I think you guys both like it.
I do.
We do.
Yeah. Okay.
It's in my top 15.
Yeah, me too. All right, my number 6. Yeah, that's where we're at. My number 6 is from the same makers as Charterstone. This is Viticulture, which I still like better than Charterstone.
That's going to be on your list too.
And Viticulture is a winemaking game, one that, much like Tom, I assume if it's on his list, will say, was enhanced by its expansions. And you can sort of mix and match. You can just play with the ones you like, but there's a lot there that has grown the game since its original inception to now include new card types, new actions, new seasons on the board, whereas before there were, a couple of sections on which you could place workers. You now have an entire year's worth of seasons. It's a lot going on, but it is captivating, it's thematic, it's engaging. There's a lot of turn angst because you can do an action, whatever that action may be, once, A, on the board, and B, if someone goes there, you got to wait a whole year to do that again. Except you have one worker that can, show up if someone else is already there. But you maybe used it already, or maybe you really want to save it for something else down the road in case some jerk takes your spot. It's got a lot going on. I really like this game. Last time I played, I found it a little slow to get going, like to finally get the grapes and age them and get the wine. It took a little long, which is why it's sort of in the middle of my list here. Otherwise, it'd be higher. But I still like the game very much. Great game. Viticulture, my number 6.
I like it also.
Number 5.
All right, my number 5 is Caverna. I gotta have my Uwe on my list here. Caverna knocking out Agricola. I'm sure Agricola's a fine game, but I literally have not played it since I've started playing Caverna.
Do you still have it?
Agricola? No. Do I still have Caverna? Yeah,
No,
I do.
I know you do.
And now there's an expansion coming, I hear, maybe? Ooh, But I don't know. The Caverna, part of the reason I like it is because there's so many good choices, and that tends to be something I like. Like, well, you took that spot, and there's still that turn angst, like, you went there, I want that, but I guess I'll go here. And that whole, you can turn one of your workers into a dwarf warrior type guy and just send him out to go gather stuff in. Yeah, that it's kind of more just another way to get resources.
No.
But thematically, you're still
He is
sending
going
out
on
a
an
warrior.
adventure.
Well, sure. What was the adventure about?
I'll tell you later.
8 months later, he just shows up at the door. It's like that scene they cut right out of the movie,
Because these two
It's
bricks
like,
I found.
goodbye, I have to go quick. Just 8 months later, hi, look, I brought victory points.
Yeah, but I really do like the game. I think it scales really well, too. And yes, it takes a while to set up. There's pieces all over the table, but it just has a
Whatever.
really good, satisfying feeling.
It's Odin, Feast for Odin's baby brother.
Nowadays, it feels like that, yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Caverna.
Caverna's the one you play if you are into children's games. Otherwise, Feast for Odin. Wow. I've never played Feast for Odin, but that game terrifies me.
Yeah, no, you won't get to play that.
Yeah. All right, is it me?
Yep.
My number 5 has also been mentioned already by Mr. Healy.
Ooh.
Pillars.
Pillars of the Earth. That's right. Pillars of the Earth is, as he said, kind of a quintessential worker placement game. It's one that's been around for ages. It's now finally back in print, or about to come back into
Feeling
print.
left out.
No, it came back into print last year, I think.
Okay, so there you go. You can finally get it. For a while there, we would talk about this, and it felt a little bad because it was
Yeah.
just gone. You can get it now. I really enjoy it. It's one that I have no connection to the theme. I've never read the Pillars of the Earth books
neither.
or any of the
It will
sequels.
make you like the game less, probably.
Yeah, but the simplicity of what's going on, the idea of getting resources, switching them for other things, usually victory points, but done so in a clean manner. You can do this into this twice. Great. That person tells me they can do that right there. There's not a long chain of conversions, which is one of the things that I don't like about, some drier Euro games. But also that mechanism of pulling your worker, your master builder, whatever he's called, from a bag. And now this is your color. You get to put it anywhere on the board you want to. Oh, I pulled you out first. You got to pay 7 coins to put them out. You don't want to do that? Cool. We'll just put you here on this track. When we loop around everyone in the bag, we'll come back to you. And you can put it out for free at that point. Okay, then we pull out the next one. This one's only 6 coins. That's fantastic mechanism, you know?
It really is
That
good.
is just so good. And that makes it for me, I think. That's the main attractor there. So, Pillars of the Earth is just a great worker placement game that really holds up, I think. That's my number 5.
My number 5 is Caverna.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Dwarves
my number
of
5 is-
Discovery.
That's right. Glendrovers.
Glendrovers
Dwarves
Caverna
of
3.
Discovery Ages
Ages of
5.
VPs.
By the way, I think it's kind of silly to put your name in the title of a game.
Uwe Rosenberg's Ora et Labora.
Was his name in the title of that?
No.
Oh, okay.
You know what else wasn't in there? Fun!
Oh my goodness.
For everything that Tom said about Caverna is basically the reason why I like it. One of the main things that I liked about it that he touched upon was the fact that you really don't ever feel like you don't have anything to do. You may not be able to do exactly what you wanted to do, but you can do something that's just about as good, and you can do that other thing later. And it won't usually hurt you that, and it won't usually hurt you that bad. And that's one of the things I liked about it. It really felt to me like a sandbox Euro game, I guess you could say, where you can pretty much do whatever you want. I like the fact that it had 2 different strategies basically that seemed to be very well balanced. You can stay inside the cave and kind of go the dwarven aspect and build up your cave and mine for gems and all that kind of stuff and score a truckload of points. Or you can be a farmer, dwarven farmer, and score a truckload of points out there as well. Or
Truckload of veggie points.
yes, or you can send your other family members on quests.
Other family members. But Papa, Timmy, put that backpack on and you go questing.
Go get the hens. So that's
Back
my
with
number
victory points
5,
or no supper.
Caverna.
No carrots for you. Caverna is, I'll tell you this, it's definitely not on my list, though I do like it. But one thing you mentioned is definitely what I think makes it a better game. As you said, you can do this now and then do that later, maybe if you want to. Whereas in Agricola, you will do that later.
Yeah, right.
You will do it all. Some first, some later, but you're going to do it all anyway, you know, and that's the big difference for me.
Number 4.
All right, my number 4 has an anniversary edition coming out this year, I think. Definitely has a card game coming out.
Old, gross.
And that is Carson City. Carson City, the whole idea of putting dudes down and then fighting, I like that.
Shooting.
But you can also, if you're like, I don't want this confrontation, you can try to go to spots other people don't want. You know, I mean, or you can gear up, but the deluxe version that Quinn had put out, I want to say 3 years ago, where there was a ton of characters in that game. I really like the characters you pick each turn, affect how you're going to play your workers. There's all sorts of different, like, modules or things that you can add to the game, and I like that. There's a lot of variety. I think the theme is really strong. It has that, it's very, very interactive, though, very confrontational.
It is. For a
And
worker placement game, it's one of the
usually
most
I don't like that in a worker placement game, and in fact, I believe this is one of the few on the list where it's that in your face. But because you can mitigate that, because you can, you know, there's so many, you can build a town, or you can rustle cattle. I mean, it has a cool Western theme to it. I like it a lot. Carson City.
Can you
my number
borrow
4.
bullets from yourself in the future?
That's Carson City, Anachrony,
Anacra City.
Glendrovers,
Anacra Carson.
Age of Time Travel.
All right, my number 4 is I don't know. I definitely consider it a worker placement game where the lions in your pride are your workers.
Oh, I haven't
You haven't played it, so you don't know.
Yeah, suckers.
We
I
have to
wanted to
accept
pick on
your
you.
true.
Roar, King of the Pride is my number 4.
That's pretty high up there.
Yeah, it is. I really enjoyed it. I love the family weight level of the game. Just really enjoyed it. I like the area control aspect of the game, and I also like how well it works with the worker placement aspect of the game, which people might give some kind of debate against, because how many workers you have is largely dependent upon some kind of luck, because you do have to roll a mating die, and then you draw. Yes.
Wait, I have obviously.
Stop. We're moving on.
I want to know more about this mechanism.
Continue.
Yes. The number
Okay,
on
wait, hold on. Mating.
the number
die?
on the die denotes how many different cub tiles you turn over.
Okay.
And then the kind of cubs that you have determines what kind of workers you're going to have later on, because they'll grow up into, well, they're babies at first, and they grow up into cubs, and then they mature into adult lions.
They do mature.
Yes. So the females are the ones that are the hunters, and they will be gathering the food. The males are the warriors, I guess you could say, of the clan or of the tribe or of the pride. I'm sorry, but I liked everything about the game. It's got Vintage Traits artwork in it. It has a whole lot going for it. It's a great family weight game. Very fun in my opinion. My number 4, Roar, King of the Pride.
Cool. My number 4 is one I don't think either one of you guys have played. This is a little game. Footprint-wise, this is the smallest game on the list. Yeah. And this is called Demon Worker. This is a small, I believe, Japanese game.
Very similar.
Very similar. Demon
Are
Worker.
you a demon worker in this game?
No, you are employing workers in hell or something to send them out to do your bidding on Earth, something like that. That all sounds really dark. It's a very silly, quirky, sort of bizarre. It's very anime-esque. You know what I mean? Here's the thing about this game that I really like. It's largely a resource management game. Once all the worker placement is said and done, you are collecting different things and scoring with those things and spending them for specific actions. The thing that for me puts it where it puts it right now is that in this game you start with 2 workers. They are normal, boring humans. They have no special powers. You pay them, you send them out to a spot, they do whatever that spot does as worker placement. You also have the ability to hire new workers in this game. And each one of those is unique.
Are they demons? Because so far I only heard human worker.
Oh, baby. So many demons. Demon workers. Yeah, sure, they're weird like creatures and stuff. And when you hire those guys, you have a new worker, but that worker also does something no one else's worker will do. If I send this worker specifically here, I get whatever that section gets me, and 2 of whatever. Okay, cool. Oh, this worker, you get to deploy for free. You don't have to pay them every time they have to work. But they're also not worth points at the end of the game. Okay, cool. And so on and so on. Oh, this worker is actually a pair of twins. So when you send it out, you do the action twice.
Well, that's cool. I do like that idea.
It's just a really neat concept of having more workers, but having them be unique. It takes that whole, only scientists can go to here and only these people can go to here, and kicks it up for me.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I
the
like
idea.
about it,
I'm not sure I'm keen on the theme, but I like the idea.
Oh, you're going to love it. Demon Workers.
You're saying it starts out as human worker, then it changes its name halfway through?
It's Human Workers first. Very quickly, Demon
Glenn
Workers.
Drover comes out of the box.
Glenn Drover's Demon Workers. That's my number 4. We need to put this Glenn Drover thing to bed.
Probably.
Anyway, that's my number 4. I really like it. I did a review of it. Go check that out.
Number 3.
I don't think we're going to have any 3-way crossovers.
Yeah, probably not at this point.
Because the only chance I think was Pillars, and I didn't put it on my list.
Sure.
I ruined it.
You and I are going to have one coming up. And another one.
My number 3 is a game called Scythe. Scythe has been highly regarded as a hybrid game.
It's a great game.
Yeah, it is. And I don't really know if it's that hybrid-ish. Maybe with some of the expansions of which I have not played yet. It is hybrid-ish.
It's true.
Yes, but in the base game, it is largely just a Euro-y worker placement game. There's not a whole lot of there's combat you can get into, but it's definitely behind the scenes as far as I'm concerned. But I really enjoy the component quality, the artwork, everything that's there. I like the setting that it's put into. This fantastically historical setting where you have people working in fields right along these huge mechs.
And tigers.
And
pet
of course,
tigers.
yeah, pet tigers and pet bears and
Oh my.
oh my, yeah. So I liked the game from the first time I laid eyes upon it, and the plays backed it up. The first play I was like, I don't know. Second time I was like, okay, I'm getting it. Third time, I'm liking it a lot. So that's my number 3, Scythe.
I love Scythe. Not on my list because I do not consider it to be a worker placement game.
How can it not be?
Well,
The people in your army are being placed on the board to draw resources to put into your. Come on. They are definitely workers.
well, I know they're workers. Okay, so by all stretch, yes, you are placing workers on a board.
To gather resources and use those resources to do other things and put more workers on the board. Come on. Okay, whatever.
We'll see. I'm not sure.
Gotta wear those t-shirts more often now.
I'm staying out of this.
It's your turn there, sir.
Okay. My number 3 is the Manhattan Project Energy Empire. The
What?
best of all of those games. Better than the first one.
Yeah.
Better for sure
No.
than 2 minutes to midnight or whatever that was. Just get here already. 2 minutes to midnight.
No,
Let's
no,
go.
no.
This
I
is
don't want
a-
midnight to come.
This is a distant third.
Oh man, this is the best one by far.
No way.
I like everything about this one. I like the world scope of it, but it's still easy and quick to manage and learn and engage in. I like you still have the unique workers and all that stuff. Now you've got this idea of managing your environment and dealing with the political scope of the United Nations and all this stuff. You've also got this resource production system in which you roll dice to produce what you can utilize later on, which I actually really like.
I
So
do
there
like
are
that.
dice in it, but those are not the workers, which is why I put it on the list. And I really like that part as well. You have hidden goals that you can try to achieve. This game, I don't know what it was. It just worked for me. It just hums. And for my money, as soon as I played it, I was like, okay, I guess Manhattan Project's out.
Oh, I don't think they're the same though at all.
No, they're not. They're not. But I probably wouldn't keep and play both. You know what I mean?
I guess I'm like, I'd say Manhattan Project and Minutes to Midnight, I think, are really similar. They're similar in theme. I mean, I think one is clearly superior to the other, but that Energy Empire feels like they used Manhattan Project and a few of the ideas, but it's like in a different
It is.
thing.
It is. No, you're right. You're right. I did, however, get rid of the other one and keep this. I just like it way more.
This
I
is
really
weird. Of the
enjoy it.
3 games, we all have a different favorite. I like the first one, you like the second one, and you like the third one.
Yeah.
But wait,
So-
no one picked the card one.
Wonder why.
You like that one, though.
Yeah, but you want to talk about a distant fourth
Yes.
to the distant third?
Yes, that's true. So there you go. That's my number 3.
Can't even see the third.
Energy Empire.
All right, my number 3. I suspect might be on Sam's list, but I'm not sure. Another Viking-themed game that has knocked out Lords of Waterdeep off my list, and that is Champions of Midgard. Especially with the new expansion, Valhalla, and the other expansion, which is fine too, but Valhalla. Oh my goodness. I mean, the worker placement for this, it's actually pretty tight worker placement. There's not a whole lot of
Yeah.
places, and you're going to get really irritated at the other people for going to where you want to go.
It's alleviated a little bit with the Dark Mountain expansion. But
Right, and that's actually, I do like that Dark Mountain for that reason. There's a few more places to go now, but then what are you getting? Resources? Yeah, but you're getting dice, and then you get to roll those dice and fight creatures. And then with the new expansion, if you lose, who cares? Well, I mean, you don't want to lose necessarily, but you can then go fight other creatures in Valhalla and stuff. Whew, this game is amazing. I
Yeah.
love it, love it, love it.
good.
Champions of Midgard.
Number 2.
All right, as I said, my number 2 is going to be a crossover, and this is a crossover with you, sir.
What?
A fantastic,
Automania is that high?
interesting, thematic, unique game. Automania is that good. Yeah,
All right.
I really like Automania.
I feel like we're the only 2 people who ever talk about it ever.
I know. like you said, great theme. It really stands out. It's different. It is different. You are doing something that you don't do in a lot of games, and the way you do it also is not pedantic. It does not bog itself down by making you go through a bunch of steps. You make cars, but it's fun. You make a car the first turn.
Right.
And then the worker placement, allowing for an action, allowing for a tile, allowing you to start immediately growing your little car-making empire. And then you take them and sell the cars, put them on ships. The artwork, I think, actually does fit the game. I know the game got some pushback originally because the artwork was too cartoony.
Yeah, it's like an app almost.
It had an app kind of look. Yeah, it's cartoony. You know what? I thought it fit.
I liked it.
It moves along. It's not a game that, if you showed me a game about making cars with really drab, serious artwork, I don't think that artwork would fit what you're doing in this game, So I like that. And I think it's very clever. Porta Games, they make some fantastic stuff, in my opinion, and this is one of the best ones. So Automania, if you haven't played it or haven't heard of it, definitely give it a look. It's really great stuff. That's my number 2.
All right, my number 2.
Trying to figure out here what I think I got
Enough with the kid games, says
your ones and twos.
Since you called Caverna a kids game, but Feast for Odin is my number 2. Every time I play this game, the depth in this game. Now, a lot of this game I do like because you are building that little grid thing up there. Have you played Feast for Odin? No, well then you don't know. It might be amazing. You would not like it.
I wasn't saying anything.
Oh, I thought you were looking at my list.
Oh, he's looking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to write down your ones.
I was looking at your notes.
I'm looking at your 1 and 2 and your 1, and I thought you were not putting any more Uwe Rosenberg games on the list.
No, I like Feast for Odin that much now.
How many worker placement spots are there?
Oh, there's like 60, I think, on the board. It's a ton.
Lame.
But some take
I'll
one,
wait for the expansion.
some take 2, some take 3, some take 4 workers. So you're trying to, you start off with, I think, 7 workers, and then you have 8, 9, 10, 11. So if I'm going to go to a spot that takes 4 workers, you're like, I don't know. There's an occasional, you would think with that many spots, the other person doesn't block you that often. But every once in a while, you're like, I swear. They go to that one spot you were going to go to. But it's neat because so many different places allow such a different strategies, and I might decide that I'm going to, go out and hunt and explore. I might go out and decide that I'm going to go out and whaling. I might go and raise some cows and sheep, and it has a lot of that stuff that could be mundane sounding, but because there's so many different ways to do it. The Feast for Odin part of it is actually almost an afterthought. You have to feed your guys every turn with a feast, and you line up food there, and it has to fit in all the squares to feed them all.
Okay.
But it's not hard to do. I don't think I ever have not done it in any game.
It's not Agricola-esque.
It's not Agricola. It's closer to Caverna.
Okay.
But just the sheer amount of options in this game, it's getting close to becoming one of those games where I don't necessarily want to play with new players anymore.
I can imagine.
But
I'm trying to figure out what is Uwe Rosenberg's obsession with being fed. Do you think there's something there?
When he was a kid,
past?
he didn't get fed.
I feel like maybe there's some trauma to be resolved there.
Yeah.
Think about it. His best known game is about beans and bean farming. That's a weird theme, right? Not a whole lot of people go, oh yeah, I'm gonna have a card game about lining up cards in my hand. What's it gonna be about? Beans, bean farming. I'm so hungry, and I don't know. I need to write a paper on this.
The expose. All right. Anyway, that's my number 2. What about you, Sam?
All right, my number 2
Come on, Sammy.
is a game that popped up on the overrated games list. Eric must have stepped out of his studio and smacked his head on something considerably dense
Puerto Rico?
to say that Stone Age was overrated.
Oh,
It
gosh,
is
of
definitely not.
I thought this was his number 1, actually.
It was. It was his number 1
No, I thought this was
overrated
your
game.
number 1.
No, it was.
No, his number 1 is.
It was my
That
number 1, but we'll talk about what my number 1 is in a minute. Roar King of the Pride is a game that I said I love for its family weight level, and that's another reason why I love this game, Stone Age, because it is very much that a mid-weight family level game and very easy to teach to a number of different groups of people. It has familiar mechanisms with dice rolling, as well as the worker placement. As a matter of fact, the workers that you send out denote how many dice you're going to roll to produce those different things. That's been one of the things that many people have really decried against it the most on, I guess, is the idea of mitigating the dice, and you're at the mercy of the dice, But I don't agree with that. You really have to think about what you're doing and make sure if you need at least one, you need to make sure you send enough workers to that place that you know you're going to get at least one. Will it sometimes not work out? Yeah, that's how it always is. But I really enjoy Stone Age. I think it's great. I like the expansion. A lot of people don't like the expansion, but I do.
Is that the one that's called Style is the Goal?
Yeah.
Oh, I hate that name.
Yeah, I don't like the name of the.
Didn't they change it though to just call it the expansion?
Stone Age expansion. Yeah, the Stone Age expansion.
That's when you know a name is so bad.
I know.
They change it to the expansion.
Yes, exactly right. So. I really enjoy the game. It's been one of my family's favorites ever since we started playing it.
Oh, that's a great game.
My number 2, Stone Age.
I like it.
And finally, number 1.
Oh, powerful die of adamantium. Give me.
It's not adamantium.
What is it? Unobtainium?
Ah,
Mercury.
That would be like
6. Well, I didn't win.
4. That is
Wait, I'm
somehow
still
worse.
Wait.
Wow, that's
I'm over
another
the 6.
4.
All right, we're just going to go down the thing because I know you guys know what mine is. I know what Sam's is.
I don't know what yours
don't know
is. Do I know what yours is?
All right, we'll start with mine. Mine is a crossover with Z Garcia. He already said it would be on my list. He has forgotten.
Oh, viticulture?
Viticulture.
Yeah, okay.
With Tuscany, or essential viticulture, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. It got messy.
I really like this game. Now, I will say that viticulture, even essential viticulture, I like, but it's with the 4 seasons that it really shines for me. That, I think, is in
That's essential
Tuscany
now,
or
right?
essential Tuscany. I think it's an essential Tuscany.
Oh, it never made it into the base.
No, it didn't.
Okay.
But
So confusing.
the,
They really just sort of went crazy.
But the 2 seasons there, the summer and or the spring and the fall, I think was what it was originally. Whatever. The 2 seasons, I like that. But the 4 seasons, this is again another concept I haven't seen
Every time
anyone.
it says that, I'm
You
like,
don't-
4 seasons hotel. All right, go ahead.
What?
I don't
If you don't know what you're talking about, I mean, if people listening don't know what you're talking about, they're going to be like, what in the world's going on?
Well, I'm explaining that. This is the only game I know where you have the game is split into time frames, and this one
Yes.
it's seasons on the board, and you can place your workers in spring, for example, in the spring section, and then you can place them in the next section. But if you don't get them back, so you have to do it a little bit at a time, which again I haven't seen any other game do.
That's
Each
true.
game is like put out your workers, pull your workers back, or whatever. It's not like how many of your workers are you going to basically budget for each season? And I like that concept a lot.
Yeah.
Because the season resolves and it will affect future things, and so you can get all caught up and be like, "Oh, I'm taking everything," and then you just watch everyone else play for a few turns. So then
Yeah,
you're like, "I'll save it all for the end."
If you're not careful, it can really bite you. Yeah.
And there's a lot of great options in this game. Again, someone can take your spot, but they added the grande piece, which I liked, which says you can go anywhere with that piece. So you save that piece like, which is the one spot that's going to be stolen that I can go to. The theming works well. There's a lot of different modules and stuff that we disagree on
a
how
little bit
good
of
they
bloat.
are.
There's a little bit of bloat. Yeah.
There's a little bit of bloat, but I like it a lot. And this is definitely in his wheelhouse right now because Scythe has the same thing now with the Rise of Fenris with all the different modules. You can add them, and again, there's some amazing, and it takes the game from a low number to like one of my favorite games, Scythe. That's how good the expansion is. But just getting off topic, viticulture, my number 1. Is yours
All right.
Viking theme?
My number 1 is Champions of Midgard.
Woo!
And I'm going to go so far as to say that you must play with Valhalla expansion.
I would
I
agree
don't
with that.
think... I like the game without the Valhalla, don't get me wrong. But what Valhalla adds to the game makes it essential for me, at
It
least.
mitigates the luck a lot.
Yeah, because
Yes, yes.
when the dice hose you and you lose your dudes in battle, now you can use those tokens that come back from their death when they go to Valhalla to purchase other things in Valhalla. And that's a really cool thing.
It also gives you that blue die, which is a special die only you have, which
Yes.
makes it more possible that you'll win anyway.
Yeah, the leader die, correct. So that's a cool thing about Valhalla. Now, Dark Mountains, we're not going to, diminish Dark Mountains because, like we said earlier, it does up the number of places that people can go on the board, which alleviates some of the tightness of the board in the base game. So I really enjoy this game. This has risen to the top of this list. I don't even think it was on, which is kind of strange. I must have forgotten about it when I made my personal list a little while ago. Because I don't think it wasn't on that list, which is strange to me. But definitely is my favorite worker placement game at this point. Very fun. Champions of Midgard.
Now, if you say Champions of Midgard with our only three-way crossover, it's our only hope.
No, I don't like it that much. So I agree with you that Valhalla is a must.
Yeah.
If you're going to play it.
Is yours a crossover at all?
No one said it.
Is it Japanese and no one's heard of it?
No.
How old is it?
A few years old. Just got reprinted.
Do I like it?
Were you expecting
Yes.
it to be on
Does
our
Sam
list?
like it?
I don't know. You just told me you liked it.
Oh, wow! We talked about this game this morning.
We talked about this like an hour and a half ago. Yes. Yeah, my number one is Targi. That's my number one
Targi.
worker placement game.
Yeah, when I was going through the list, I said, I wonder if that's going to make Z's
Oh,
list.
Yeah.
That is such a good game.
Targi is a fantastic two-player worker placement game, which I know that sounds kind of weird when you think, okay, just for two, how tight is that going to be? How interesting is that going to be? But it does one thing that I love, that it's also in Automania, is the idea of the idea of putting a worker out that does multiple things or affects multiple parameters. You put out a worker, you're putting it on a card that's going to give you a power. It's also denoting a line that later on, when you put another worker on a crossing line, gives you the intersection card. That's cool. It's very mechanical, but it's fun to manipulate that. And the turn angst in this one, which I keep mentioning because I like that in worker placement games, is fantastic. You put out a worker, knowing you want the third card down, so you better get that, row as well. And then your opponent goes on either one of that end of that, and so you can't take it anymore. So you immediately jump on the outside card that says, I get to go anywhere in the middle, even though you don't care about that column. It's just, there's all these interesting little mechanisms.
It's really, really cool.
It does a lot with very little. There's just a couple of decks of cards, a few workers, some tokens, that's it. I mean, it's a small package, but it does a lot with them, and I just adore it. Every time I play this, I'm very engaged by it.
Yeah, I just played this over the weekend. I didn't even want to play it when I first saw it because it looked the box cover is not doing any favors.
No, it's not an exciting looking game, and it's not a fantastic theme either. It's just sort of there. It's all the mechanisms. That's where it's at, and it really is great stuff. So my number one, Targi. If you've never played it, give it a shot.
This is again, I know that you said you don't like this as much as, but I love worker placement. If I find out a game has worker placement, I automatically assume I will probably like it.
Really?
That's how strongly that mechanism is for me.
I'm pretty much there as well.
I think for me, I probably at this point assume the opposite. There is so much bloat in that genre.
Yeah, but what if it's a medium game that's worker placement? Will you assume you'll like it then?
No. I mean, maybe, but you're right that usually heavy worker placement games, I'm like, no. So yes, I'll be more forgiving towards that, and forgiving I mean like more likely to engage. But there's just a lot of worker placement games, and there's a lot of repetition in that genre. And so, I mean, again, you've heard here, 20-some games that are all fantastic, and there's some diversity there for sure. But for these, I feel like there's another 80 that are sort of, pale imitations of these. That's all I mean.
Alrighty, well that is. Tell us what your favorite top 10 worker placement games are, or at least ones that we missed, ones that we shouldn't have on our list at all.
Kingsburg 2nd Edition would have been on my list had people not put unnecessary restrictions on this list.
Ooh, you just got worker placed.
Anyway, thanks for watching our Glenn Drover's top 10 worker placement games. Age of arguments.
No dice worker edition.
Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia. Thanks, everybody.
Sam Healy. See you on the flip side, folks.